Good evening, my darlings. I bring you tonight an absolute treat. The classic of classics, the horror of horror, the things that go bump in the night and say, I want to drink your blood. Ah, I bring you Dracula. Yes, an absolute classic. I absolutely adore this book. My husband bought it for me back in 2009, and this is actually a first edition. It was first published in May the 26th, 1897, which is a hell of a long time ago. And this edition is from April the 1st, 2009, and it is a first edition. Art by Ben Templesmith, edits by Justin Einsinger, and designed by Richard Shinus. ISBN number 978-1-60010-378-0 by IDW Publishing, Santa Fe, San Diego. Stunning. Our characters: Jonathan Harker, Mina Murray, Lucy Westenra, Arthur Holmwood, John Seward, Quincy Morris, and Van Helsing must battle Dracula. We also must not forget poor Renfield, who is currently residing in an asylum due to the fact that he fell under Dracula's spell, if you like, and let's just say, I must eat the flies, master commands it. Poor Renfield. You just gotta feel sorry for the guy. You really do. Anyway, on with the review. I find Victorian horror very interesting. The buttoned down and repressed social climate of the time to the new moral standards of the church and the questions hidden away by scientific thought. Everything was repressed. The women were repressed. They were buttoned up to the neck. Apart from Lucy, who was giving her neck away for free. Yes, she was very promiscuous, was Lucy, whereas Mina was very chaste. Good versus evil, all the way through the book. Everything has got a yin and a yang. It does. This is a story that creeps up on you and as such deserves its classic status. Vampires, obviously, are not meant to inhabit the roles of heroes. Go back a few hundred years, and men believed truly that the vampire was a real immortal, cursed to quench its undying thirst with the living mortal's blood. The very idea of a blood drinker should therefore inspire the image of a villain within the mind, and that is what the character of the novel is. This novel is a collaboration of journals, letters, and papers. For that is how Bram Stoker chose to write his famous novel. And it's beautiful how that in itself is within the beauty of the novel. It's a very macabre novel that serves to make the reader reflect upon good versus evil. Yeah, chaste versus promiscuous. Everything, like I said, has got a yin and a yang. Yeah. The vampire, to me, is an indication of man's cursed nature, who, unless he is delivered to the righteous of Christianity, must suck the life from others around him. Ultimately, only the righteous, Christianity, can destroy the darkness that serves to drain the life. This is the lesson that Bram teaches us with his timeless classic, Dracula. I must show you the artwork that's in this book. It's the front and that's the back. It's gorgeous. I'm just going to flick open. I mean, what I just absolutely, utterly, isn't that just utterly, utterly beautiful? And it's like that throughout the entire novel. At the start of every chapter, we have got, look at that, just a depiction of Dracula's skull. But every chapter starts with a bat. That darling. Look, the train ride that Jonathan takes through the Carpathian Mountains. Obviously, I'm not going to read any of this story to you because, well, as it's such a classic, you should know the story by now. Jonathan goes to Transylvania to meet the Count at Count Dracula's castle to do the paperwork so that he can purchase Carfax Abbey in London. And he was just going to keep Jonathan as a food source and to control him while he purchased the place in London. And then he claps eyes on the photograph of Mina, and she's the incarnation of his wife, his beautiful bride, who he lost when he went to battle all those years ago, before he went on the rampage and became Dracula. He must get to England. He must have her back in his life, and he will do, say, and be anything in order for that to happen, including bedding the very promiscuous Lucy. Yes, Lucy, who has Arthur Holmwood, John Seward, and Quincy Morris vying for her affection because she has to marry one of them, right? Well, as soon as Dracula comes around, it's like, huh? Who? I have to meet the Count. The Count is using Lucy to get to Mina. He eventually does get to Mina, and she falls madly, passionately, sadly in love with him, even though at this point she's already married to Jonathan. Before Mina can truly become a vampire, she must drink Dracula's blood, which she does. And the only way to get Mina back and not turn into Lucy is to kill Count Dracula. Because if you kill the person that turned you into the vampire, you turn back to being normal and human. Right? That is how it works. So they use the telepathic link that Lucy has in her head. Sorry, that Mina has in her head. And they track Dracula all the way back to Transylvania, where they dispatch him by chopping his head off, stuffing his mouth full of garlic, and putting a stake through his heart. And that is the crux of the entire story, but it is so beautifully written. I love Bram Stoker. It's a slow burn, but each page that you turn, it gets more and more insidious and creepy. And that's what makes such a good novel. And it's a joy to read. It was a joy to read then, it's a joy to read now. Honestly, it's an absolute timeless classic. And I would absolutely, 10 out of 10, utterly recommend this novel. If you've never read Dracula, where have you been? If you don't study it in school, you can have it as Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. Classic hammer horror. of which I will be watching when I have done this review, because oh, who doesn't love a classic Hammer horror? Dracula, Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, oh, that starred Gary Oldman and Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder and oh gosh, the guy that played Hannibal Lecter, Anthony Hopkins. Oh, thank you. Yes, he was in it. So brilliant. And Carly Lewis was in it as well. And Jude Law's ex-girlfriend. Frankie, I can't think who it was. Let me think. Dracula. Gotta get me some Dracula. Gotta get some Dracula. Dracula. Just waiting for... Oh, phone's died. Well, there we are. Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula cast. Monica Bellucci, Dracula's bride. Tom Wattis is Renfield. Billy Campbell is Quincy Morris. Richard E. Grant was Dr. John Seward. Oh, wow. Lucy. Sadie Frost. That's it. God, I could not think of you, my girl. Sadie Frost. Oh my God, she was the overhyped sexual Lucy, the voluptuous Lucy. You know, I can honestly. If Francis Ford Coppola's, yes, I loved it, but it wasn't a patch and hammer horror. Dracula, is he the most cursed person that ever lived? He truly loved his wife, his bride, and when he found out that she died after he'd been in battle, mistakenly believing he had died, killed herself, and he couldn't live with that, so he just went on an absolute, carnage rampage, and turned into this blood-sucking demon. And all he ever really wanted, all that man ever wanted, was just peace and quiet, the love of his lovely lady, and to just live out his days. But no, his entire life was turned upside down, and he just wants eternal peace. And when he finds Mina, Dracula feels like all his problems have just been gone, they've disappeared, because his lovely Mina, his bride, was back, and all he wanted was to be with her. And flipping heck, if Jonathan Harker doesn't just get in the way, and she doesn't understand that she's the reincarnation of his wife. And that's where the problems lie. So it's a three-way love triangle of a cursed man with a soul that he wishes to have eternal rest, and everything else thrown in. I mean, does that not just make for the most tragic love story ever? Because that's what Dracula is. It's a tragic love story. And it's so beautifully, brilliantly done. And Bram Stoker, sire, I take my hat off to you. You have given us the timeless classic, the most beautiful novel ever written. And oh, if the artwork isn't enough to make you go gooey, I don't know what is. Absolutely stunning. This is Renfield. Renfield going mad. Oh, see, there he is again. Gone absolutely car cuckoo pops. Oh, Renfield. There's quite a lot of Renfield actually. It's such a minor character. He isn't actually. He is quite pivotal to the role because he wants to be Dracula's pet. He wants to be the one and only to Dracula. He doesn't want Mina getting in the way. She's ruining his plans. Mean Mina. Look, and there's Mina, laid in the bed, feeling very sorry for herself. Yes, shouldn't have been drinking Dracula's blood. Anyway, my darlings, absolute classic. Cannot recommend it enough. 10 out of 10. In the top 100 books that you should read before you die. I truly hope you enjoy this one. I really do. And I saved it for last because, quite frankly, I covered it at Christmas in the Hackman calendar, but I didn't do it justice. I really didn't. And it needs to be read. It needs to be appreciated more. I wish, instead of teaching, oh, I don't know, Christmas Carol in school for English literature, let's do Dracula, everybody. Oh, why not? It's an absolute classic. It's well written. It's beautiful. The plot is to die for. What's not to like? You could do. This could be on the English literature for next year. Why not? You know, let's bring some fun back into the classroom. You know, if we want children to learn, teach them something that they're going to want to learn. Something fantastical. I mean, it doesn't get any better than vampires now, does it? But yes, this really should. You know, highly recommend it, definitely. So yes, top 100 books you should read before you die. 10 out of 10, fabulous novel. Should read it. And I really truly hope you have enjoyed May Mayhem with me. I've absolutely had a blast. You've only seen a very tiny part of my collection of books. My books are all either first editions, limited editions, sometimes both. I definitely go for the more rare of novels if I can. It's usually down to my husband. I mention different things that I'm looking for, and he just has the most unique way of finding all of these books, or we find them together sometimes, and that is how my collection has built up. And I do everything from horror all the way to apocalyptic fiction, pandemics, nuclear war, you name it, I do it. And what you've really seen is only 2-3% of my collection so far. But as we go through the year, I will bring more to you to give you ideas of things that you might like to read. You know, not everybody's tastes are the same, but I'm assuming that while you're watching me, that obviously your taste must be very similar to mine. And I hope to bring more to you that you're going to enjoy. So thank you very much for joining me through the 31 days of May Mayhem. And let's see what June will bring us, my darlings. And on that happy note, I shall wish you a very good evening. And thank you again for being here. And happy readings, darlings, and enjoy. And let's see what June has in store for us. So, good night, and thank you so much for joining me. See you later.